Okay, so when we talk about academic writing is more, it's formal, is objective, it's concise, brief. Mostly academic writing is for dissemination of information. Academic writing is for research, and academic writing is for, for academic purposes. When you are writing, thesis, when you are writing dissertation, when you are doing research, when you are writing academic essays at the university level. So these all are included in academic writing. Further, if we just continue, like if it report writing is a kind of an academic writing, because you cannot be informal when you are reporting to somebody in written. Okay, one. Number two, we in the previous semester we studied the parts of an essay, that how many parts does an essay have, and I taught you that we have an introduction paragraph. Introduction paragraph has three things: hook, um, background information, and thesis statement. These three things include in the introductory paragraph of an essay. Okay. After that, we have body paragraph. In the body paragraph, you normally write the supporting details and you expand the thesis statement. Then we have conclusion. In what do you write in conclusion? In conclusion, you restate the thesis statement, all right, and you come up with a what should we say? That you sum up everything that is in the thesis statement, okay? Because thesis statement, remember, the thesis statement is the main idea of an essay. So this is the structure of an essay. Now, what are the stages of writing an essay? When you are given a task of writing an essay, so what should you do? Okay, the first thing that you should do is sit down and brainstorm the topic on the paper. Okay, after that, you expand the notes into the sentences, and this is called your first draft. Then revise it. Okay, like what is what points, the points that you have added, try to weigh them down, that which one is to keep, which not, which information is incomplete, which information is to be added, more, or refine it. And then the last, another stage is editing. In editing, you normally proofread, like, if there is any spelling or the grammatical error or whatever. So revising is more about, evaluating the ideas that you have put in, and editing is more about the language mechanics. Okay, looking into the grammatical errors and the spelling errors. And then the last stage is publishing. So publishing does not always mean that publishing in the kind of the printing form, but like the submission of your assignment, or the final, final submission. If it is an assignment, then of course you submit it to your teacher. You cannot submit before, unless or until you have added it and you have reviewed it. All right. So this was the essence of the things that we have already done. Now, today we are going to start with a kind of an essay that is called, okay, compare and contrast. Okay. So how to write an essay, compare and contrast essay. Let me do this. Okay. So, okay. Now let me admit. Fine. So what is comparison and contrast? Okay, I think it is too obvious that when we talk about comparison and contrast, what do we compare? We compare two things, we compare two ideas, uh, you know, we compare two subjects, right? So for the comparison and contrast is something that is that when we have two things, all right, definitely you can't compare one thing with itself. So comparison shows how two or more things are similar. Uh, okay, so I think comparison and contrast is a kind of thing that we all are familiar with, and in our day-to-day life we do this. That which is which is better, this food, this is better or that is better, which brand is better, which food outlet is better, which restaurant is better. So we always make choices in our day to day life. So when you are writing this down, how you should be writing, okay, how to write a compare and contrast essay, this is our main objective and our topic of discussion today. And what is comparison? Comparison means to compare the similarities and contrast the differences, how two things are different, and comparison, how two things are similar. All right. So in most writing situations, the two related processes are used together. All right. So let me just ask you and involve you. If I ask you to compare virtual versus real classroom, all right. So what do you think? What are some of the similarities and what are some of the differences that you can tell me? About virtual and real classroom. So I would like to, Acha, Tahira, I will request please take the screenshot of the attendance because I will also be taking in the end. All right, if you are here. Okay. Yes. Now, Bakhtavar, I would like you to unmute yourself, please. Or the rest of the students, if you would like to write in the chat box, please write in the chat box.
जी मैम.
Bakhtavar, can you tell me some similarities and differences between virtual and real classroom? Virtual classroom, online learning, and the real classroom, like physical classroom. Yeah. Can you tell me some
जी
differences and some similarities?
मैम. मैम क्लास में ज्यादा समझ आती है जैसे और
Okay.
ऑनलाइन नहीं.
No.
बहुत मुश्किल होता है.
Okay. So do you think this is okay? So when you are writing an essay, right? If I give you this topic to write an essay, compare and contrast.
जी
So do you think it is a
जी
nice, it is such a nice point to add in, or the way you have stated this, the way you speak the sentences, they can be more academic or non-academic. Okay. So
जी
what
मैम.
would be the best sentence to describe this? Can you say this in English? Or who would like to try out? I'm just leaving this open. Any one of you can unmute and just share. Bakhtavar, thank you so much for your response. All right.
जी मैम.
Who would like to share and tell me uh, from the academic perspective that virtual and real classroom, if I give you this topic to write an essay on, so what will be some of the similarities and differences you will be sharing? So, okay, who should I ask? Mariam Noor. Mariam Noor, please unmute yourself.
जी मैम.
Okay, Mariam Noor, the one point that was shared by Bakhtavar that, she means to say that the understanding is better in real classroom than the virtual classroom. Students can understand more in a better way in the real classroom than the virtual classroom. So this was one point that has come from Bakhtavar. What is your point of view, and what other points you can add, whether it is similarity or differences? अच्छा,
मैम वैसे तो रियल.
हाँ चले. ओके, यू से.
मैम रियल क्लास में जब हम लोग सब साथ बैठे होते तब ज्यादा समझ में आता है, और कोई पॉइंट तो आई डोंट नो, मुझे इतना नहीं समझ आ रहा कि मैं पॉइंट कौन सा बोलूं.
अच्छा, okay, fine. It means can you see the limitations? Right now, I would like you to focus on the limitation of ideas. And, if you are limited with the ideas, it will be very difficult to write on. How can you write a complete essay? Because in the end, I'm going to share an assignment as well. Because no matter we are on online mode, this time I'm going to be very, very, you can say kind of stiff regarding your assignments and everything. Okay, so can all right. I mean, I wonder why chat box is not filled with a lot of your responses. Why you're not writing in the chat box? Okay, who should I ask now? I wonder, and I fear that if you are sleeping and you are present here or not. Sikandar, please unmute yourself, Sikandar.
हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम मैडम।
Walaikum salam. Okay, Sikandar, tell me, can you just add any points in this? Can you tell us some similarities or the differences between real and
मैम रियल क्लासरूम में हम लोग प्रेजेंटेशंस के थ्रू जो है ना वो ज्यादा बेहतर तरीके से एक दूसरे के आइडियाज जो है ना वो गेन कर सकते हैं और
Okay,
बता सकते हैं। टीचर
okay,
का इंटरेक्शन भी
mm-hmm,
ज्यादा रहता है सब स्टूडेंट्स के पास, लेकिन ऑनलाइन
okay,
क्लासेस में अगर टीचर एक स्टूडेंट को बोलती है तो वो एक के साथ इंटरेक्शन जो है ना वो क्रिएट कर सकती है।
mm-hmm, okay. All right. So you mean to say that in real classroom there are more opportunities of interaction than in
यस
the
मैम।
okay. So you see that
ऑनलाइन।
how exactly. So how you at first you have to have the rough ideas. Okay. Unnecessarily please unmute ना करें अपने आप को हिना तबस्सुम. Otherwise I will remove you from the class. Okay. Yes, Sikandar. So this is a good point. Anything. Okay. All right. So Rukhsar is saying that we can hear the teacher, with clear voice, and it is more understandable because the proximity is there. All right. You are in the very close proximity. All right. And real classroom more understandable and beneficial. All right. Now, as you have brought in some crucial points, you have not discussed the similarities. Many of you are just describing the you can say differences. Okay. Virtual class is limited and real classroom is unlimited. Good opportunity in real class. Ajmal is saying yes. Ajmal, thank you so much for your response. Now, I on the same topic, I will share with you that how you can write. All right. Virtual class is more teacher centered. I agree. I agree. Khurram, this is a good point that virtual classroom is more teacher centered. But in the virtual classes, interaction can be generated and can be created. Real class में teacher खड़ा करके punish कर सकती है, virtual में remove कर सकती है. Salma, such an interesting point. Real classroom is better than virtual because we more understand and ask question answers. All right. So Sanam, what is stopping you to ask questions in the in the virtual classroom? You can always unmute yourself, ask questions, or put your questions in the chat box. So this, you have to weigh down the argumentative points that you are bringing in. All right, there should also be valid. Anyways, I will show you in the end an essay that is about virtual and real classroom, so that we can identify that what is the thesis statement and how the supporting details have been provided. Okay, so it will be a great help. Digital literacy is compulsory for virtual classroom. 100%, 100%, because definitely if you are not familiar with the tools and the digital tools, you cannot. This is a very good point, Khurram. वर्चुअल क्लास में प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं हो सकती. ओके, वाई हो सकती है. वर्चुअल में टाइम लिमिटेड होता है. यस, या यस, this is Salma, this is a valid point. I mean, this is something that you can write on, in your essay when you are comparing. That this is such a valid point that, number one, internet connectivity issues. All right, those students who don't have a stable internet connection, they miss a lot of things. So because technology has its own limitations, so this is such a valid point. Virtual time limited, of course. In virtual classes, you cannot take the virtual classes for 2 hours. These two are very good points. Okay, so now let's move on. Thank you so much for your participation, and that was the interaction. I mean, it shows that we can have an interaction in the virtual classroom as we do in our real classroom. Okay. Uh, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And teacher have a direct eye on students. Yes, 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 Khurram, this is a good point that the teacher can see on and keep an eye on students' activity, whether they are attentive or not. But in virtual classroom, the screen is a barrier. See, all of you, you have kept your videos off. So I really don't know that what you are doing. What is the concentration level? How focused you are? 100%, concentration. Are you with 100% concentration here or not with me? Okay, so let's go on. So you see that what was the idea and what was basically the objective behind this activity that I asked you to share your ideas with me. I wanted to stir your brain, that how to brainstorm. So this was the first stage of writing, that how to brainstorm the ideas and put them down on the paper, all right, creating a cluster of words and ideas. So this is the first stage. And then what is the next stage? Let's go ahead. Sometimes useful when comparing and contrasting only two way, like you can create a Venn diagram, all right, like what are like both of the differences of the both sides and the similarities of the both the things. We can say that one of the similarities in the virtual classroom and the online sorry, and the real classroom is teacher. You need teacher in both the classrooms. I mean, your classroom and your learning cannot continue and cannot be done until or until you have teacher, all right. So teacher is one of the similarities in both of the classrooms. Okay, so that was a similar point. And then of course you mentioned, many of you mentioned mainly the differences. Okay, now we are skipping this. Now, searching points for discussion. There are some, I would like to share a few tips that how to write a compare and contrast essay. So please pay attention to it. Why? Because I will give you an assignment of writing an essay on the topics that I have listed for you. All right. Establishing a basis for comparison. Uh, Two things to be compared must have enough in common to justify the comparison. But sometimes you cannot compare and contrast everything. Okay. So the topic should be such deep that it offers you. I mean, it has some obvious similarities and differences. You cannot compare things that are quite obvious that they cannot be compared. All right, when two things are very similar, it is the contrast that may be worth writing about. Okay, so when two things are very similar, it's very hard to write about them. Acha, what are the searching points that determine your emphasis on similarities, differences, both? Determine the major focus of your paper. All right, so okay, comparison and compare and contrast essays and compare and contrast writing can also be the part of your research papers as well. Maybe that there are two companies and they are making the product for the same purposes. Okay, for example, whitening cream, or for example, two toothpaste brands. All right, so if you have to compare two toothpaste, the purpose is same, they use for the cleaning purposes. All right, what will be the similarities and the differences, because their purpose is same. So if a company decides to conduct a research on that which one is better, I want to know which product is better for me out of these two. So I will be doing comparison and contrast. I will be seeing the similarities and the differences in the ingredients. I'm giving you very very general examples of day to day life. Okay, all right, so I'll see the ingredients. So I'll see that okay, these ingredients are, what are the similar ingredients and what are the different ingredients in both the products. Okay, after that I will see the use, I will read the reviews. So we follow the stages of writing. We do the research. Okay, means genre. Kind means, yes, kind means genre. Exactly. Genre means kind, types. Okay, okay. Do not discuss entirely different elements of each subject. Like we have a very, very very interesting example I have, that when you are comparing Bollywood and Hollywood movies, so you see that what will you be comparing? Like their kinds or genre, maybe the fictional, non-fictional, sci-fi, like scientific, or science fiction, or maybe it is action movie, or it is a horror movie, whatever the genre, and technologically advanced. So what are the differences? Like which one, Bollywood or Hollywood, which industry is more technologically advanced? Then promotional, their budget, and use the latest technology. Okay, and their subjects, like what topics usually they make movies on, in terms of popularity and time duration, because I think which movies are longer, Bollywood movies or Hollywood movies, in terms of time. So you see that you should know that what are 3 or 4 points that are very cardinal, that are crucial to write in an essay about a particular topic. Okay, so you have to see that which one is to keep, which one is to filter out. जैसे अभी हमने virtual and real classroom को किया, so some of your points came but they were raw. अब उनको academic कैसे बनाना है? When you say somebody said समझ नहीं आता, okay, this is okay, right? This point is very raw, that समझ नहीं आता, you know, virtual classroom. But when you're writing, how will you write embellishing and decorating the words and the sentences, okay, so that it looks more academic, it does not look like it is something that has just come, you know, from someone, or it is a part of a discussion or a conversation. So ये एक example थी. Let's go ahead. Okay. Yes. Now, this is very important. Please, this slide is very important. Okay, we have transition words. Okay, अच्छा. Transition word की मैं आपकी अलग से एक class लूँगी, and then I will tell you, I will teach you, we will do quizzes, we will do exercises. Okay, transition words की. So right now, because I just wanted to introduce that what are the transition words. Okay, transition words are when you are writing, what will be very helpful for you to write an essay or compare and contrast essay, these words, okay? Sorry? Yes, sir, post or in second semester. ठीक है, मैं चाहूँ तो शायद इनके साथ सेकंड सेशन भी कर लूँ, अगला 40 मिनट का, 40 नहीं 20-25 मिनट मोर. आप कितने बजे लेना चाह रहे हैं? ठीक है, 11:30 पे आप इनकी कर लें. ठीक है. Okay, students, there is a message for you by Sir Samandar that you will have your class at 11:30. ठीक है, 11:30 पे आपकी class होगी. Okay, so please note this down. अच्छा, ताहिरा screenshots लें attendance के. I'm going to be very very strict about the attendance, और अभी I'm just going to get my paper back, so I will mark the attendance. Okay. Now, comparison and transition. What are the transition words? When we compare, for example, जब हम comparison करते हैं, that what are the words that can help you write an essay? जब हम कहते हैं ना, also she's very, you know, not only my mother but also my father, you know, is very kind. Okay, and not only this particular brand. Okay, so I like you can say Chinese food and also Indian food, something like that, and also Pakistani food, something like that. So जब आप comparison में, like you are going in one flow, when you are you know, talking about the similarities, like the word we use likewise, similarly, in the similar manner, in comparison. All right. So these are the words, they help you writing. That when you are writing and constructing your paragraph, you're putting your rough ideas and developing full sentences and developing your paragraphs. So these transition words help you. जब आप contrast करेंगे, right? So for instance, जब आप contrast करेंगे, so what are the words that you can use? Although, but, even though, on one hand, on the contrary means on the other hand. So when you want to show the contrasting side, or when you are mentioning the differences, then these words will help you write down a well constructed academic paragraph for a compare and contrast essay. Okay, so on this point I would like to tell you that I'll give the topics for you to prepare, and then the written assignment will be where I will not accept the written assignments which are done at home. You will do this in front of me. मैं आपको अपने सामने बिठा के आपसे essays लिखवाऊंगी, compare and contrast essay. Okay, so please do some practice, and then I'm going to show you some examples, some example compare and contrast essays, and I will share with you, so that you have you have some samples in hand, you have some scaffold in hand that can help you when you are writing your own essays. Okay. The body of the essay can be organized like Y structure. So we will look at two organizational styles. There are two ways to organize and an essay and write an essay following the two organizations. The one is based on structure. So what is the structure? Subject by subject and point by point. Okay, look at this. Essay organization, subject by subject. Write a separate essay about each subject and discuss the same points for both subjects. So if you are writing about two countries, the similarities and differences, okay, like, or two cities, Karachi and Islamabad. So first you write about Karachi and then you write about Islamabad. Okay. Use basis for comparison to guide your selected points. Arrange points in logical order. Okay. And good for short, uncomplicated papers. All right. So this is one way of writing, that you write about one subject, like two subjects you are comparing. Okay. So you write, first of all, you write about one subject and then you write about the other subject. So this is one way of writing compare and contrast essay. Okay. Another one is, okay, so subject by subject का, बेटा देखिए subject by subject का क्या होगा, structure क्या होगा. You will first write introduction with thesis statement, hook and background information. Then you will write the similarities, that Karachi Islamabad के similarities क्या हैं. And then you will write the differences and then conclusion. So it is a very simple structure of writing an essay. कि पहले आप कराची और इस्लामाबाद के सारी similarities लिख दें and then फिर उनके differences लिख दें. Okay, then point by point. So when you are writing an essay point, it is good for longer essays, more complex papers. Okay, it means that subject by subject, when you are writing, it is more, that is simpler. Okay, that is the simple way of writing. But this way, when you are writing an essay and following the structure point by point, this is little complicated. This is for writing long essays. Islamabad is more, exactly. So you will be definitely compare and contrast ke liye, exactly, one more language help, that use of adjectives, more and more adjectives and comparative, comparative adjectives, right? So that was a great point, Salma, that you have shared. Okay, now make a point about one subject. Where is it? And then follow it with a comparable point about the other subject. Okay, alternating patterns. Okay. Now, alternating patterns, be careful not to fall into a monotonous back forth movement between points. To avoid this problem, vary structure. Okay, now I will show you an example essay. Okay. Okay, now point by point का structure क्या होगा? Look at this. Point by point का structure होगा introduction, similarity 1, then similarity 2, transition. उसके बाद आप transition करेंगे difference 1 and difference 2 and then conclusion. All right. So you can follow one of the patterns for and one of the organizational structure for writing a compare and contrast essay. Look at this. This is a good example. Now we have 2 minutes remaining to end the meeting. Please note down everyone. I have to show you. Okay, transition means change. All right. First of all, आपने दो similarities बयान कर दी. उन दो similarities के अंदर आपके जो transition words use होंगे, that will be from the list which I showed you. All the words that show the similarity, the transitional words that show the similarities. उसके बाद आपका transition आ जाएगा. Then you will talk about the differences. However, on the other hand, let's talk about the differences. Differences 1 and differences 2. Clear? Transition words की list में आपको yeah, exactly, Yasin, you are right. Transition means change. Okay, everyone please note that we have only 1 and about 2 minutes to end the meeting. I would request you to join again, because in the next session, all these, how many participants are 30 students should join. Why? Because in the next meeting, अभी जो हो रही है, मैं आपको time बताती हूँ. Okay, please join at 10:50 per. Okay, whatever the time. Okay, with the same ID से आपने same link से आपने 10:50 पे join करना है. In the next meeting, I'm going to share some sample essays. Also, with the intervention of where is the thesis statement and everything मैं आपको बताऊंगी, and I will share the assignment. Clear हो गया? So you must join the meeting at 10:50 using the same ID and the link. So, okay, is that clear? इसको हम next meeting में करेंगे. Let me quickly take the screenshot of your attendance. All right. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, so you can share. And okay, by the way, by that time, 10 minutes will take for recording the, for this recording will be downloaded in my computer.